All right, guys, happy Saturday, happy weekend. It's time to get into bolts. Very excited about this. I've got somewhere, let's see, over here, yep, here it is, a document from Ed Glasgow. Ed's over there in New York, in Tully, New York, and he sent me over this shipment. So check this out. Each different component, listed across the top, and then here are the sizes, and so the sheet kind of gives you an overall look at what the bolts go for all over the bike. So just replacing various plates, because again, these bolts are all the wrong size, and still got the bike kind of covered up from the degreasing fest I had a weekend ago. I degreased all this stuff, so it's still looking pretty good, and got the chain all lubed up, which was a lot of fun. So that's looking nice. It's my first chain. Let me know what you guys think. Did the whole degreasing thing, and yeah, I think overall it's looking pretty snazzy. So happy with that. But let's get into these bolts, guys. Let's take a look. Still new to this, so kind of get as organized as I can. Put together kind of a table here, and we got transmissions and toolboxes and switch wiring. I don't even know what that is. Speedo, oil tank, obviously the frame, for the fuel tank, fork, foot spud. That's a real thing. It's actually called foot spud. Don't make fun of it. And chain guard, fender, of course, and a crankcase. Got some battery, anchors, and at the end of the day, he does a whole case of washers. So the washer kit looks like this, and then inside you've got lock washers and flat washers, different sizes for different things, which is cool because people actually use washers incorrectly. Not to say that I do or don't, we're going to find out, but depending on where you put the lock washer before or after, and then there's a washer behind it, it's all very interesting. Anyway, so I got them all kind of laid out here, got the trusty ruler out just to measure things. I might need a caliper as well, just to give an overall look. So the last thing you want to do is spend all this time and energy, use the wrong bolts and nuts and washers in the wrong place. So I'm trying really hard to get this down as best I can. So I'm looking at this sheet here, and the one thing I obviously 1/4, 28N, so new fine threads, as opposed to NC, so it's new coarse bolts versus fine threaded bolts. That makes sense. And then here it's 1/4-28 NF, so right, and then half. So I'm assuming that half is the length. But here's the thing: is the length of the bolt from the head to the tail, or is it within the shaft? And this kit comes with 15 of these 1/2 inches and then 10 of the 5/8. So I counted out 5, 10, 15, right? And then there's 10. So just by those numbers, here's 15 of these, 15 of those. So these must be the 1/2 inches, right? So we're gonna find out. What do you guys think? Is this bolt 1/2 inch or not?
A few moments later.
So it turns out that if you lay this down on a ruler, and I am, then it's a 1/2 inch of threads. They don't measure, it's not measuring from the head of the bolt, which I always thought it was from the head of the bolt to the tail of the bolt, but it's not. I was totally wrong. It's the threads. So he's measuring the threads, saying that this is a 1/2 inch like so, and it's exactly right. Spot on, right? Fantastic. Which means that these are the next ones, which are 5/8, right? So here, let's check this out. Here you go, and yep, 5/8. Awesome. So I know that these 15 bolts, 4 go to the battery. So let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and find the battery protection, which is right there. So there's your 4 battery bolts. Huzzah! Man, it's going to be quite a process. So I don't know if I'm going to keep you through this whole thing, but that's what I'm doing this Saturday. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. going through these bolts and I came up with a bit of a problem. Maybe you guys can identify it as well. So according to the sheet, I'm supposed to have a certain number of bolts for the sizes for the different components, right? It's pretty straightforward. Who could possibly mess this up? So I went ahead and reorganized the table according to the sheet. So each component now is in the order, because what I found out was I'm missing some bolts. And I'm not just missing any bolts. I'm missing the bolts that go for the fuel tank. I'm missing 2 bolts there. A bit frustrating, because if you recall, the whole reason I got into these bolts in the first place was because of that fuel tank bolt not being there. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll order these bolts and take care of the problem. What are the chances that the one of the bolts in all like 15 components that I'm missing is the fuel tank? I feel like it's out to get me, that there's some, you know what? I'm just gonna end this right now. I'm gonna take care of, there's one thing I can do while we wait for this. I am not gonna let that fuel tank bolt get the best of me. In the frame, there is 3 bolts that hold the gas tank on, the fuel tank, and one of the bolts was missing when I bought the bike. In fact, one side of it was kind of just flat, and it appeared that someone had broke off the bolt. So I'm using the old bolt this was homemade. They put like a cap on it. I'm gonna slide this in here like this. Sliding this in here like this, and with a little persuasion, that's getting free today. I may have to drill it out, I may not, I'm not sure. But what I do know is its time has ended, because I'm taking care of this right now. And okay, that was easy. So now I have actual, yes, I do not have to drill this out, which makes me very, very happy. So number 1, number 2, whoops, number 2, and number 3. So all the fuel tank holes you can see now have daylight. Check off the list. So this reminds me of something else that happened early on with this whole bike system. I know that I've been talking a lot about Pete Sink, and Pete is a legend in the Indian community. If you're not an Indian motorcycle person or not into verticals, you probably don't know who Pete Sink is. Pete is actually a legend. And when I say that, I don't mean like, oh, everyone knows and talks about him. When I got this bike, I got the manual, and I got this brochure, and I got this booklet. On the cover of the booklet, whose picture is it driving the motorcycle? Pete Sink. Anyway, I did end up meeting him. I did end up going to his place, looking at all his motorcycles. You should check out that episode in the description below. There's gonna be a link. It looks like this. I got to see him over the course of 2 episodes. It's really awesome. He is a wealth of information. Anyway, long story is, when I first got the bike and I was looking at it, trying to figure out, what updates have been done, what not, I got Pete on the phone, and he's like, go to the bike and we're gonna determine if it has the chain adjustment upgrade on it. They'll tell us if anyone's worked on this bike or not. And I was like, okay, great. So I go to the bike and I'm over here, and he's talking about this. See, this chain has slack in it, but you adjust this with this component in here, and he's asking me to look for this nut, essentially, right? But the bike was on the ground, and I'm on the ground, I'm crawling around the bike, trying to find it. I'm looking, and he's asking me questions. Down here on the ground, crawling around the bike, looking for he's like, there's a big nut. It's the drain plug for the oil. And I'm like, okay, well, I think I found that. And I'm looking, and he's like, do you see it? And I said, Pete, I'm sorry, I don't see the bolt you're looking for. I got the kicker, and then he says, you're on the wrong side of the bike, son. So, main drive unit. So apparently, this is the proper side of the bike that I was supposed to be on. And if you go down all the way here, there is that bolt that you can adjust the tension of this chain with. So I tell you this story not to make fun of myself, but I tell you this story because when I called Ed, I said, hey Ed, all the bolts look really great, but I'm missing a few. I'm missing a few bolts. I'm missing the bolts for the fuel tank. And he said, you ordered a kit for the 249, but you're looking at the list for 149, which is the Arrow. He said, turn the sheet over. You're on the wrong side of the sheet, son. Man. So on the right side of the sheet, I started again and went back through each and every beautifully cadmium plated bolt. And if you don't know what cadmium plating is, it means this. This older bike has all the bolts for the frame cadmium plated, and it's beautiful. It looks great. So it's kind of like this dull silver look to it. Really, really great. Anyway, I went through it, and lo and behold, I did have the switch wiring bolt. It was there. So switch wiring is here, and it's supposed to have 5 bolts, and there they are. So he was absolutely right. Wrong side of the sheet. But, the fuel tank. The fuel tank is supposed to have 3, and it only has 1. Wah, wah, wah. So he's gonna send me the 2 missing bolts from the kit. So I was missing a bolt. I was on the wrong side of the sheet. He is amazing. His work is great. If you're building an old bike and need to get any kind of bolts, again, check out Ed Glasgow over there in Tully, New York. Here's information. Go ahead and freeze frame on that. Such a great guy, such a great wealth of information. Anyway, it's a slight pause in installing the tank, which is over there. And I still have to do the work on the petcock, and I still have to like clean up the fuel tank inlet on it. So no big deal. But let's take care of something else. The other thorn in my side regarding the bolts are the anchor plate bolts, and they look like this, right? And what bothers me is that like this one has like 2 threads. These probably are the correct size. This one's definitely longer. This one already came out when I took off the other part of it. And then this one here. So this plate, all 4 of those bolts. And then on this side over here, there's yet another plate in there. Do you see it? These guys. And of course the spud here. Let's do this. Let's take these bolts off, replace them with the proper bolts from Ed, and it'll look back the way it was. Just gonna switch out those bolts. How hard? How hard can it be? I just gotta make sure that I'm on the right side of the bike. Good Lord. It's such a simple thing, right? These 2 look okay. These 2 are the wrong size. Let's get these 2 out, replace them. I have 3 bolts here I can see are the right size. All right, bang, bang. I think this one up here maybe is the wrong size. Got it loose. Get this off of here. Okay, so yeah, I mean, not terrible, right? See that? Just a nut. So the replacement nut looks like this. And the nylon threads should be red in color. Ed did mention that during the cadmium plating process, they turned white for some reason, kind of off. They're still new, they're still workable, just the color isn't the reddish color you're hoping for. So just something to note, doesn't bother me, just wanted to make sure that you're aware of it. Super nitpicky, maybe not the most important thing, but old bolt, new bolt, you can see that the length was just a wee bit off, right? And so trying to make it better, proper bolt now. Let's get her in. Wow, look at that, the bike has shifted. Huh, this plate is not lined up right. That's a problem. Now look at that. Somebody, uh-oh. No reason to make you suffer through all of that. So it got all the nuts off, and then the last 2 bolts should just tap out, right? Boom, that's 1. And then, where is it? Here. And the other one. This goes on that side, okay. Pretty awesome. And more amazing dirt everywhere and grime. So yeah, let's get that taken care of, which you think I would have gotten rid of with the last cleaning, but apparently no go, but this is great. Pretty bad. Let's see. Get all this out of here. It's a beautiful bike. I was told to stay clear of the magneto, that it holds powers that I'm not yet ready to deal with. And you know what? Probably right. So I'm gonna hold off on that until I'm feeling really lucky or a little crazy. Way better. Okay, and these plates, these anchor plates, I think these are anchor plates. If they're not anchor plates, you let me know. I don't think they're supposed to be chromed. I think somebody had them chromed. I'm gonna get these all polished up, get it back assembled, guys, and then it's freezing out here. I'm gonna call it a day. Just wanted to thank you guys for watching, subscribing, sharing. This channel is growing ever so slowly, but it is growing, which is amazing, and it's thanks to you. Leave some questions in the comments for me. Help me out with any advice you might have. And don't forget, make it a great week, and I will see you guys on the next one. What's next? Let's see, maybe this goes, let's go like this.